A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on a Thursday afternoon. Again, we are goonless today. We will be talking with John Schaefer about the Hoppy Valley Brewers Fest. And if you're watching us online, you see the Hoppy Valley Brewers Fest hat that I am adorning atop my noggin. And we will be talking about that event, which is coming up not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday here in the Valley of Happiness, or Valley of Happiness, as it were. Lots to get into on today's show. This areas. I do want to start. There was an announcement earlier today, and it is a really significant accomplishment. To add to the long list of accomplishments for Carter Starace, but the five-time NCAA wrestling champion has been named the 2025 Big Ten Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year. Starace honored from a field of 18 male athletes, one from each. Get the nomination for the Penn State Male Athlete of the Year. It is interesting, and we'll delve in a little bit, but Starace, of course, did not win. And I don't have as much of an issue with it as some folks do, but he did not win the Hodge Trophy, the Hodge honor, which goes to the outstanding wrestler. There's other things that factor into it, much like the Heisman Trophy in football. And that went to Wyatt Hendrickson, the outstanding heavyweight for Oklahoma State. And that honor is, as is the Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year, it's for a season. I will say the Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year, I do think takes factors in career accomplishments to some degree anyway, even though it is the Male Athlete of the Year. So it is, based on the accomplishments for the past year, at least in theory. USC's Juju Watkins, by the way, the Big Ten Female Athlete of the Year, the outstanding basketball player for the USC women's program. Starace becomes the fourth male athlete from Penn State to earn the honor, and he becomes the third wrestler to receive that honor from Penn State. The other previous honorees from the Big Ten, from Big Ten Wrestling, were David Taylor in 2014 and Bo Nickel in 2019. And then Luis Vargas from the Penn State men's gymnastics team won the honor back in 2005. So Starace, of course, an unprecedented fifth NCAA title this past season, and finished a remarkable career with a record of 104-4. Half of those losses, two of those losses were injury defaults at the Big Ten tournament in his fourth season of competition. He finished his career with 20 pins, 25 technical falls, and 21 major decisions. Starace was, of course, a Hodge Trophy finalist, but did not ultimately earn that particular honor. Instead, that went to Wyatt Hendrickson, and Hendrickson knocked off Gable Steveson, who was thought to be a shoo-in by many for the national title at heavyweight, and Hendrickson capped off a remarkable season and career and racked up more bonus point victories than did Starace during the course of this past season, and that is one of the factors that weighs in. I do think, I would have voted for Starace, and you could say that's a homer call. I just think the even with the single season accomplishment, what he was able to do in winning that unprecedented fifth title, there's just a different level of pressure that comes with that, I think, and there's a different level of demands that come with it. And I also think there was a higher degree of difficulty in terms of coaches and wrestlers working to figure out a way to beat Carter Starace. I also think, and Wyatt Hendrickson's win over Gable Steveson obviously was historically great. I do think that it's kind of under the radar how good Starace's win and wins ultimately over Parker Kakaisen of Northern Iowa were this past year. I think Kakaisen, just because he can't quite get over the hump, and he's right there every time he wrestles Starace, but because he hasn't defeated him, I'm not sure he gets the credit for being as good of a wrestler as he is, because he is a phenom in his own right. Starace, again, is just another level of really special, really good, and especially good when the pressure is greatest and when the spotlight is on. He just has a truly remarkable ability to step up his game and to rise to the moment every time that moment presented itself. And he did it all throughout his collegiate career. Again, the injury aside, last season where he was forced by his coaches basically to take the two injury defaults, the only two wrestlers that beat him in actual contested matches, he ended up winning the career series over both of them. DJ Washington from Indiana, and of course Michael Kemmerer from Iowa. So in both cases, he was able to avenge those losses. And again, to me, even without that fifth national title, I think Starace goes down as one of the all-time greats in the sport because of that unique accomplishment. I do think he clearly has carved out a very special place in the history of college wrestling. And again, he is the Big Ten Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year for 2025 and joins some pretty spectacular company over the course of the years. He becomes the first wrestler since the aforementioned Gable Steveson of Minnesota, who won the honor in 2022 to take the Big Ten accolade. The last 2 years, it was Zach Edey, the great center for Purdue's men's basketball program, that won the honor. Kyle Snyder, of course, now with the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, was a two-time winner when he was the heavyweight at Ohio State back in 2017 and 2018. And again, it is an honor that dates all the way back. 1982 was the first year. Thank you. The honor was awarded, food presented here at Quaker Steak and Lube. Can hardly wait. Did a little stir fry today. I'm looking forward to it. Jim Spivey of Indiana's track and field and cross country team was the first honoree back in 1982. Interesting. Wrestlers have a long history here of winning the honor. Ed Bannock of Iowa won the second Big Ten Jesse Owens Male Athlete of the Year award back in 1983 for Iowa Wrestling. Barry Davis of Iowa Wrestling won it in 1985. And trying to go through here, I had them highlighted. The next wrestler to win the honor was Matt Lackey, actually, in 2003 from Illinois. Then Damian Hahn from Minnesota in 2004. Cole Conrad, another great Minnesota heavyweight in 2007. Brent Metcalf, the Iowa wrestling great in 2008. Jake Herbert, the Pittsburgh area native who wrestled collegiately at Northwestern, won the honor in 2009. And then we had, again, David Taylor, Penn State Wrestling 2014, Logan Stieber, Ohio State Wrestling in 2015. And then Kyle Snyder, back-to-back honors in 2017 and 2018. Bo Nickel kept the wrestling contingent going in 2019 for Penn State. And then it was Gable Steveson again in 2022, and now Carter Starachi in 2025. So congratulations to Carter Starachi on that very distinguished honor handed out or announced earlier today by the Big Ten Conference. A couple of other, just want to get some local sports notes here as we roll on into the afternoon. The State College 11 and under Little League baseball team is back in action tonight in what is now an elimination game for State College. State College has had a heck of a run here, and we'll see that they have their backs up against the wall tonight, but I'm wondering if last night isn't going to give maybe a little extra juice to what they think they are capable of doing. This is in the sectional tournament. Of course, State College won the District 5 tournament, and now in the sectional tournament in an elimination game last night against West Suburban on West Suburban's home field, which is where the tournament is. State College rallied from deficits of 4-0 and 6-3 to ultimately pull off a 7-6 victory. And again, we'll now take on a very strong Hollidaysburg team. Hollidaysburg beat State College earlier in the tournament. It's a double elimination tournament, and State College lost 12-0 in the previous meeting. Hollidaysburg has been very strong the last couple of years. Got to Bristol last year in the East region. State College and Hollidaysburg will now square off at 6 o'clock tonight. Now, State College will need back-to-back wins. They need to win the first game to force what would be a true championship game. Hollidaysburg can end it and win the sectional tournament and go to the States with a win in that first game. If State College wins the 6 o'clock game, the two teams will take a short break and then play a true decisive championship game later tonight for the opportunity to go to the state tournament. So best of luck to the State College 11U Little League baseball team. Again, that action will get underway at 6 o'clock tonight in West Suburban. Also, if you've been following the State College Spikes, a lot of fun, really glad we have minor league baseball in our area. I just think it is a great additional opportunity of things to do for folks in our area and folks visiting. If folks are coming in for the arts festivals this week, might want to check out one of these Spikes games over any of the next three evenings. State College lost last night 11-4, and they are now in a tie for second place in the MLB Draft League standings. State College and West Virginia now each a half game behind Mahoning Valley. Mahoning Valley got a win last night while both State College and West Virginia lost, so Mahoning Valley leaps into first place, and now State College and West Virginia both a half game behind as we near the halfway point of the MLB Draft League season. 3 more games remaining for State College. They'll take on Frederick. The Keys and Spikes will meet at 6:35 tonight at Medler Field at Lebrano Park, and that'll wrap up that series. The Keys taking the first 2 games of the series, and then State College will have 2 games against Williamsport before the break on Friday and Saturday evening. The Crosscutters will come in for 6:35 starts in each of the next couple of nights as well. Also, just on the local sports news front, Penn State Wrestling fans learning. Penn State Wrestling knew this, but the fans learning yesterday, Drexel announcing that Penn State will visit their university in Philadelphia on December 5th. And that'll be a return date for this past season when the Dragons visited Rec Hall. Penn State winning that one 41-3. The two teams will meet again on December 5th. It is the first confirmed non-conference matchup for the Nittany Lions in the 25-26 season. Of course, Penn State will be looking for a fifth straight NCAA championship in the upcoming season. And the Nittany Lions have a very strong team that will be returning despite the loss of Carter Starace, along with Greg Kirkfleet and Bo Bartlett from last year's squad. Also, Mitchell Messenbrink, who will be one of the standouts returning. He has been named a college sports communications first team at-large All-American. He's one of 15 such honorees. They give them out in football, basketball, soccer, and then baseball and softball, swimming and diving, tennis, and track and field and cross country. And then they take all of the other sports and just put them together, and there's 15 at-large selections. Messenbrink is one of them. Of course, he won the national title, undefeated last season, and was also a first-team academic All-Big Ten honoree. He has a 3.92 grade point average in psychology, and no question has been a standout both in the classroom and on the wrestling mat since arriving at Penn State 2 summers ago. Penn State student athletes as a whole with a very good spring semester. Penn State putting out a release yesterday saying that the Penn State student athletes averaged a 3.28 GPA for the spring semester. Nittany Lions had spring records with 578 student athletes carrying at least a 3.0 grade point average for the semester. 291 student athletes were Dean's List honorees, and they had 62 student athletes who were full-time students register at a 4.0 GPA for the semester, and a remarkable 16 student athletes have a 4.0 cumulative GPA, meaning they have had 4.0s the whole way through, however far they are in to their academic career here at Penn State. So very impressive stuff there. Penn State Cross Country announcing its schedule for the upcoming season. Nittany Lions will have their lone regular season home meet in Happy Valley on September 12th, as Penn State will host the Spiked Shoe Invitational. Penn State will open up the season on September 5th, as the Nittany Lions will head to Lock Haven for the Dolan Doles. Penn State will also go to Lehigh's Paul Short Run on October 3rd. The women will travel to Wisconsin for an invitational on October 17th. The NCAA pre-national invitational will take place in Missouri on October 18th. And then the Big Ten Championship slated for October 31st at Michigan State. In East Lansing, the NCAA Mid-Atlantic Regionals will be held at Lehigh on November 14th. And the NCAA Cross Country Championships will be in Missouri on November 22nd in Columbia this season. So those are some just local sports news and notes heading into the Arts Festivals weekend here in Happy Valley. We'll take a timeout here. We'll be talking again Happy Valley Brewers Fest with John Schaefer a little bit later in the program. And, we'll delve into some Penn State football news here on the other side of our initial timeout for today's program. And don't go anywhere. More of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube coming up.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Quench your thirst and cheer on the State College Spikes tonight as they go on the hunt for the MLB Draft League first half title. The Spikes face the Frederick Keys at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday with $2 12-ounce drafts from 5:30 to 7:30. Only 3 games remain in the first half, and you could see the Spikes capture the crown here in Happy Valley. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back, and I say we because Chris Bisconati has been kind enough to join me.
Hello, everybody.
Quaker Steak and Lube. And
I think I got I got the Goons headset here. It's my noggin is not quite as wide
it
or
is a challenge.
large as
Yes,
the Goons.
it is a challenge getting the
do a little adjustment
headsets to fit accordingly with everybody that comes down. Again, John Schaefer will be joining us a little bit later in the program. We'll be talking about the Hoppy Valley Brewers Fest, which I'm excited about.
I see you're rocking the hat.
Yeah.
You were there last year. That was a cool giveaway.
So I got the hat just a couple of weeks ago because we were promoting it on our morning show.
Okay.
I did not. One of my disappointments with last summer was I did not get to go to the Hoppy Valley Brewers Fest. I know that I did, and I'm forgetting we had something. And I could not get out. It was I honestly I don't remember now. We might have even been out of town for something. I'm like, I think we were actually. I think it might have been we had to go to Pittsburgh or anyways. I missed it, and I'm like, oh, it's because last year was of course the Beaver Stadium experience, not the Beaver Stadium experience this year. But I am excited to be able to get back into the swing of things with the Hoppy Valley's Brewers Fest.
Yeah, look, the construction project over there is throwing a lot of things out of whack. But
no doubt.
I do think where they have it slated for outside Medlar Field, I really do think it's going to give people a lot of cool, different aspects because. I always mention this when we talked about it when we did the obligatory quarter century team shows. The Brewers Fest were proud sponsors of. I got to shout out, of course, as a Mount Nittany Conservancy board member. You get a beautiful view of the mountain from right there.
Yep.
You're right next to the ballpark. You've got a good view of Beaver Stadium. So if you want to take the circuit around and check out exactly what is in the works,
yes, indeed,
for this season. You get to do that, and it's kind of like you're getting a tailgate experience early. Tengwall made a good point about it. He said, everybody needs a preseason. This is your preseason for tailgating. You come up here, you have some quality beers on the Penn State campus. That's the other thing, Ed. You've been around the block up here a few times yourself, as have I. It is quite the sea change from the Penn State of old that we are hosting a very cool, locally focused, Pennsylvania focused microbrewers festival right there within eyeshot of Beaver Stadium. That would not have happened once upon a time.
No doubt about that. And, one of the things that is interesting, we had a little bit of a discussion on Tuesday on the ever-changing world of college athletics and college football, and it's not the same, and it's not, and it won't be, and I think different folks are going to react to it differently. It's still going to be, at least I think for the next couple of years. Again, we'll see how everything evolves or devolves or however you want to look at it. For the moment, like last year, at least, and I did wonder a little bit. All right, how is all of this going to change? And again, it has changed. No question about it. But when you get into the stadium, and I'll just speak for myself, or you're watching the games on TV, I'm not sitting there. I didn't think about the NIL stuff, the transfer portal stuff, while I'm watching the game. Just at all. Now, obviously, you recognize, hey, that player, that used to be one of our guys, or that guy came from this school. Boy, I'm glad we got him. I get it as far as that goes. But, I mean, basically, you're just watching, hey, it's Penn State taking on Ohio State. Here we go again. It's Penn State taking on SMU. Hey, this is really cool. In the moment, I don't think and I don't think you saw any great sea change last year in terms of people going to the games, people tuning into the games. Now, again, could this change as things move forward? Could. But I think at the end of the day, we love football. We love sports. Americans love, and in particular, we love college sports because we do identify either, certainly if you go to a school, you identify with it. But we have a ton of people, a ton of fans who yeah, they didn't go to Penn State, or they didn't go to Notre Dame, and right on down. I mean, for whatever reason, though, you gravitate to this school or that school, and it could be you like the uniforms, you like to coach there from decades ago. There's all kinds of reasons that people, hey, but this is my team, and there is a different energy with college athletics, and that's the one thing I hope does not change. And again, it hasn't changed at least yet with the bands and with the student section and the cheerleaders and everything that comes with it. It just is, there's a different vibrancy to that than even the most rocking NFL games and settings out there.
The college vibe is completely different from professional in football. There might be, I was going to say there might be the biggest delta in football, but I guess the NBA and college basketball are pretty far apart, too, just in terms of the environment. But yeah, there's nothing like a college football game. I'm really getting excited for the start of this season, and I know we don't have the most exciting slate of opponents to open the year. I do like to remind everyone that we were supposed to have Virginia Tech here this season. And I think that's part of the reason why we ended up with kind of an underwhelming slate, is because you schedule these games, in many cases, 8-10 years in advance. Now, I think some of that is a little bit of a canard that is just sort of like perpetuated by the industry. Because you remember back in the COVID year when Coastal Carolina and BYU threw together a game in 7 days?
Yep.
Where there's a will, there's a way. But getting early in the season a marquee opponent of the brand caliber of Virginia Tech onto your schedule with a year or two's notice is not super easy. And look, let's be honest too. I think the kind of the way we're going, the direction we're going in the playoff era, we probably didn't look that hard either.
Yeah, and listen,
not 9 conference games and whatnot.
I both think and hope that that part of it is going to change. And while I understand, and yes, to your last point, I think James Franklin is perfectly content with having 3 patsies and
give me FIU, baby.
Yep, 3 games that we're going to chalk up as W's. I think he and most coaches are okay with that. And I think fans will grouse a little bit and complain a bit, just as they're going to complain about the transfer portal, just as they're going to complain. And then they're going to show up at Beaver Stadium, and you're going to have 100,000 plus in there. And they're going to be tailgating and having a great time, and they're going to be celebrating the win afterward or complaining that the team didn't look as good as they should have, considering the caliber of opponent, whatever. But they're going to sit around and talk about it.
That.
Yep. And so, I was listening to a little bit of discussion with Jed Donahue. I think there is no chance, and I could make the argument certainly that maybe there should be a consideration. If Penn State goes 10-2, let's just say they lose that Oregon game, which I do not think they're losing that game, but let's say they lose the Oregon game and they lose to Ohio State, because that's what they do, and go 10-2. Argument was, well, with this schedule, and you got to see obviously how some things play out, but it would be possible that Penn State would be left out of the playoffs. I am telling you, I mean, I guess you could construct a scenario where I might, all right, well, in that circumstance, I'm telling you, if Penn State goes 10-2, even with that, and it is a non-conference schedule that is dreadful. There's no 2 ways about that, and there are some reasons behind it. Penn State at 10-2 is getting into the playoffs.
I think probably. Look, there are always mitigating circumstances.
There will be people arguing.
Teams do, but yeah, I think you're right.
They're in.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
And and if they don't go 10-2, they don't. I mean, even the most ardent Penn State fan is going to tell you they should be in the playoffs.
So think about it this way. I just saw. I think it was Joel Klatt say this week. He thinks that if Nebraska goes 10-2. Listen, I know hard Nebraska. We've been talking about the comeback of Nebraska for like a decade now.
Yep.
But it's just like, again, there is the whole math about 1 score losses, and it is just mathematically getting to be like so statistically anomalous. The number of single score games Nebraska loses. One side effect of the expansion of the Big Ten is that many times you can get a schedule that is not too daunting. That kind of is the case with them this year. And so his point was he thinks that Nebraska will be better this year. He thinks they'll be good enough to win those one-score games. And he thinks they're going to lose to both Michigan and Penn State. And he believes that a 10-2 Nebraska with losses to Penn State and Michigan would make the playoffs. If that team can get in at 10-2, Penn State definitely can.
Well, and I think what's going to happen. So I am really, I've been interested to hear the different takes on the playoff format and whether it should be the 5 and then 7, and you just you take the next best 7,
and
let that fall as it may. One of the things that I think moving forward is they do need, they being college football, big time Division I, however we're going to end up defining that, big time football, I think does need to move to having a commissioner's office or it doesn't have to be one person that's the commissioner, but a whatever the ruling group is of college football. And I think that group needs to be, or individual needs to be in charge of the scheduling, because if you left every NFL team to its own devices, right? Like you're going to have pretty wildly disparate schedules.
Sure.
Now, as it is, again, no matter what you do, there's going to be a year where, boy, that team, that's unbelievable. They got in there and that was the schedule they played. And, oh, man, this team, how did that team – there's no way to create, unless you're playing the exact same teams, even in baseball, which does as good a job because it has as long of a season as it does as good a job as any sport in terms of, all right, this is a very balanced schedule. Even there, it's like, well, yeah, part of it is when you hit teams, things that you can't control, obviously. Sure. But it is ridiculous that Penn State is playing the non-conference schedule it is, and then you have teams that do have a couple of legitimate, what we expect to be top 20 teams in the non-conference schedule, and then play. Now, there aren't many of them. Yeah. I'll point that out.
Sure.
But I do think for just the sake of quote-unquote fairness, and again, it's never going to be perfect, but I think you can develop a system where, all right, every power conference school, and really whatever's left, we'll just call them power schools because that's all that's going to be left in big time college football. You're either in or you're not.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be some agreement in that, all right, everybody is going to play one, I'll use the term solid, non-conference opponents, some sort of history, some sort of correspondence with where you are in your conference to another one of the conferences out there. And then everybody has, the two give me home games or however, I just think you need to try to figure out some sort of more commonality in the scheduling and the toughness of the scheduling.
Yeah.
Because truthfully, the argument is, and it's a legitimate argument, like, LSU has the big early season game, and I just blanked on it, who they're playing.
Clemson, right?
Clemson, thank you, yes. Do you want to penalize either of those teams for scheduling that game?
Right.
No, but
you should be incentivizing more of those games.
Correct.
To be played. Sure.
But at the same time, if LSU goes out and completely shuts down Klubnik and he throws 5 interceptions, and which it's not going to happen, but yeah, and wins at 52-0. Well, I mean, yes, I give Clemson credit for playing that game, but I can't sit there and say, well, that team clearly, now you got to see how the rest of the season plays out. I get it, but like that has to factor in.
Yeah.
What is really difficult is, well, how do I factor that? Let's just say either way, Clemson blows out LSU or vice versa. And, the team that loses bounces back and has a solid season, ends up with, let's say, 3 losses, but the other 2 are really close competitive games against other really good opponents. Trying to compare that with a 10-2 Penn State team that loses at home to Oregon and to Ohio State, I want to give them credit for scheduling the game. I don't necessarily want to give Penn State a ton of credit for blowing out 3 opponents that it should blow out, but that's the difficulty. So does that third blowout by Penn State? I mean, it's not the play. The team is the team, but the resume matters, and the question is if you are, to try to compare it to a college, kid coming out of college getting a job. If your resume has your GPA is 2.8, but you were participating in all kinds of activities to help you get ready. Again, a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, okay, I mean, the GPA is important, no doubt, but man, you've prepared yourself. Well, by playing that game against a tough opponent, that you have gone out and challenged yourself, no question. And I think in some ways that you have prepared yourself better in some ways. At the same time, if you go out and you don't get the job done in any way, shape, or form, and you look at the other team, and so you're always left with, the eye test. The eye test tells me this. Well, the eye test is completely unreliable because you don't know what you're looking at. You're comparing 2 things that are impossible to compare. My opinion.
Yeah.
How do I compare a 49-0 win over Florida International with a, let's just say it's not a complete, like a 38-17 loss to Clemson? Well, which one is better?
I think back to last
idea.
season. Didn't something similar happen to Clemson? They played Georgia early on and got smacked.
Yes.
The same thing happened with the USC LSU game, which was played out in Vegas, and USC won that game and probably got a little overrated as a result. And I think LSU never really recovered from losing that game early on, just in terms of the way people thought about that team.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think you can because scheduling so far out, I don't think you can, because Penn State and all kinds of teams over the years have tried to schedule games where it's like, man, this is going to be a marquee matchup.
Yeah.
And then it gets there and it's like, well, no, this team stinks now. Or you're trying to schedule a cupcake and it's like, well, now all of a sudden, Indiana actually looks like a very good football team.
So the last time we scheduled a home and home with Syracuse, Donovan McNabb had just won the Orange Bowl. And so it was like, okay, traditional rival back on the up. Like, we're going to get Syracuse on the schedule. And by the time 08-09 rolled around, they were kind of a doormat.
Yep.
Now, I think Sandy Barber thought she was putting a clown show on the schedule by scheduling Syracuse. Look at the way Fran Brown has things rolling up there. I think that's going to be a matchup between playoff contenders by the time we play it.
Just stole a lineman from Penn State did the Orange. Again, to me, if you have a centralized office anyway that puts together the schedule and whatever, there has to be some sort of factor there on, hey, we're going to use the last 5 years. And to me, I like the concept that was floated with an SEC Big Ten matchup where it's like, all right, each year, one of the, and maybe alternate home and home, however you get that worked out. But you do that. And listen, they do need to, one way or the other, and I don't care whether the SEC goes to 9 or the Big Ten drops to 8, there has to be some sort of uniformity.
Yeah.
Again, my opinion on if we're expecting and demanding some sort of competitive balance and some sort of fairness in the sport overall, you just have to get to a point where you are facing comparable schedules. And that means the same number of conference games, the same number. Again, are you going to have a year where, well, especially with the conference schedules, as you said, it's just the way that works out. Yeah, there's going to be years where it's like, man, this is unbelievable. This team got 6 teams that are more toward the bottom. And then another year, well, this is unbelievable. They got 6 teams near the top. Well, again, that's going to balance itself out. And, yep, sometimes you get the luck of the draw. It's part of what goes into the fortune of having a championship season or a very successful season.
Yeah.
But I think getting some sort of competitive balance in terms of the number of conference games you have and the number of non-conference games you have, and in those non-conference games, again, having some semblance of, all right, we're facing a similar schedule. Yep, one team may have a little easier, but it's not going to be, all right, well, this team played 3 cupcakes and this team played 2, top 25 type programs. I mean, that clearly is not fair. And I don't know that there is a good way to then go back and say, all right, this is how you determine in that scenario which of those teams is more deserving.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's possible to do it. I mean, people can use whatever criteria they want, and you can argue, but there's you need some sort of balance, and that's why I think you need a centralized office. And like they do with all of the other sports, you can just do it once one season ends. You can do it within that next month.
Yep.
All right, here's the schedule for the next year, but it takes away the contracts. Now, if you want to, hey, every team can go figure out 2 of its home games. You can do that ahead of time, and that's on you, however you want to schedule it. I think that would be fine, but I think the other 10 need to be taken out of the school's control.
I think that's a good balance.
There you go. We're going to end
good job
with me getting praise.
You solved the problem of college football.
There it is. Next, we'll take on Middle East Peace. We'll take a break here. We are coming back with much more from Quaker Steak and Lube in mere minutes.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Quench your thirst and cheer on the State College Spikes tonight as they go on the hunt for the MLB Draft League first half title. The Spikes face the Frederick Keys at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday, with $2 12-ounce drafts from 5:30 to 7:30. Only 3 games remain in the first half, and you could see the Spikes capture the crown here in Happy Valley. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Goonless again this week, as we mentioned. If you were so inclined, please say a couple of prayers for the big guy and his family. He and his wife are both doing well, but they're dealing with some family health issues. Never a good time, but we're glad they're able to be all together right now. And this is Chris Buccanani filling in for Goon. Jeff the Ironhead Byers sitting out this segment so you can enjoy some of the good grub here at Quaker Steak Lube, where we come to you live every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 4 p.m. And I am pleased and honored to be joined by John Schaefer, the proprietor of the Anti-Fragile Brewing Company. John, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad you could come on out. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the Happy Valley Brewers Fest, which is into its second year. And as Ironhead and I were talking about in the first hour, just a really cool addition to the summer calendar here in Happy Valley, a cool thing that is probably long overdue. And yet, if you've been around in the area for a long time, you know it's probably a pretty big step to move an event like this right onto the Penn State campus. But it's in year 2 and looks like the momentum is going strong. So talk a little bit about your connection to the Brewers Fest and how it got started and where we're at now.
Yeah, so I'm one of the founding partners. We partnered with the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, and we partnered with the Happy Valley Sports and Entertainment Alliance to put this on. So, I went to somebody in athletics about this crazy idea of putting a beer festival on the field at Beaver Stadium. Amazingly, they said yes, and we had a great time last year. Unfortunately, with the stadium renovations, we can't really do it on the field. So we're doing it in the parking lot behind the suites and adjacent to Medler Field. We'll utilize the concourse of the baseball stadium for restrooms and concessions. Okay. And then the main part of the festival will be out in the parking lot. So all the beer, all the music will be out there.
Awesome. So this is going to be on July 19th.
Yeah, this upcoming Saturday.
Mention to everybody that you can get your tickets at Hoppy, that's like Hops, Hoppy, valleybrewersfest.com. HoppyValleyBrewersFest.com, or just Google it. You'll be able to get there very easily. So tell everybody a little bit about what they can expect if they come and check this out.
Yeah, so we'll have over 70 breweries. They're not just local. They're from around Pennsylvania, some from outside of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They'll be pouring, some of them will be pouring special beers that they brewed just for this. There may be some collaborations that have been done for this. We did a ton of collaborations last year with our schedule, and we're expanding our brewery. We're opening a food truck. We're actually in Clearfield County Fair starting tomorrow. So we just haven't had enough time to get out and collaborate.
Yeah.
But some other breweries I would expect will be collaborating. You will get to meet the brewers and or owners. We require breweries to send people that work in the brewery, owners, brewers, that can talk about the beer. It's more than just allowing a lot of beer festivals. They have distributor reps show up. They have volunteers pouring beer. That's not what we want to do. We want to create an event where people can get to know the breweries, talk to them, learn about them, and then for the brewers, it's a great networking event. So,
sure,
bringing them to the table in that way, they all know that they're going to have a good time meeting other people and seeing what comes out of it.
And that was a priority for you right from the get-go, right? That you were going to make that a requirement, that the owners and brewers be the ones who show up on site.
Yeah, that was a non-negotiable. They'll bring taproom staff, but they're not going to bring people that aren't affiliated with the brewery. So they'll be roaming around. They might have taproom staff pouring or an assistant brewer, but everybody will have ownership or production people there.
I like that. So, you don't even, not only do you get to sample some really good and some unique beers, but you get a little bit of the story about how these people got to where they are. When you've got it yourself,
there's a lot of stories.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, you've got a great little backstory just behind Anti-Fragile, I think, with you guys over there and bringing Paulo in to brew some amazing beer. Do you want to talk a little bit about that too? Just kind of catch people up to how you got into the beer scene.
Sure. So I've always been into craft beer. I started a kombucha company out of my basement. We've been doing that about 8 years now.
I realize you probably need to explain what kombucha is to some listeners.
Point. It's a fermented tea that contains probiotics. So it's big in the health scenes. Some people just like it for how it tastes. It's going to be a slightly vinegary, slightly carbonated probiotic tea.
It's got a little bit of a carbonation.
Kind of like a sour beer, like a wild sour beer.
Yeah, that's a good description.
It's brewed in the same way, except we use tea and sugar as a base, not grain.
Good for your gut, as they say.
So they say, yeah.
And you guys have actually managed to now transition you to a hard kombucha as well.
Yeah, we started doing that about a year in. So probably 2 years ago, we started making a naturally fermented hard kombucha. I realized pretty early on in the kombucha business that it was going to be that like video gamer kid that was never going to get out of mom and dad's basement if it weren't for, getting married. So we brought in a brewer. I've always loved craft beer. I've always been into it from a younger age. In college, I would buy craft beer. And I just don't know how to brew. So I was really particular. I was drinking a lot of great beer. I wasn't going to just take anybody. So I met Paulo. He was a Rotary Exchange student from Brazil in high school. He was back visiting his family or his host family like he did every summer prior. And he wanted to make State College home. So I needed a brewer. He wanted to come here. We sponsored his green card during COVID. He got married, had a kid. So we sponsored 3 green cards. And it's great having him here. He's a terrific brewer. I'm looking forward to taking the next step to putting him on a better system and really see what he can do.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. You guys have brought a lot to the downtown scene in State College. If you're out there and you're listening and you haven't checked out Anti-Fragile yet, it's right down on Calder Way. 324, am I right?
324 East Calder Way. Yep.
Yeah. Come on down and check it out. It is a cool spot. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, the beer is really excellent. And I think that's, that's become quite a trend in this country now. Like you were talking about how when you were in college, you would buy craft beer. It was probably a little bit more of an underground niche thing because I think you and I are about the same age. I mean, I remember hearing about it and running to, we had a microbrewers exposition here back late in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was a big deal as a networker for a lot of brewers who were getting into this. And it's just gotten bigger and bigger. So, can you name drop some of the top breweries or some of the ones you're really excited to have here this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the ones that I know.
Sure.
But we're going to have
Warwick. I say this weekend. It's actually next
weekend.
Yeah,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's
got to get through Arts Fest.
It's Thursday in Happy Valley. This weekend is already here.
Yeah, Arts Fest has started. I'm already past that. But
and you guys have Allen Street. You have a booth at Arts Fest as well.
We have a kombucha tent at Arts Fest. We have our tap room open with the cheesesteaks out front, and then for the first time ever, we're going to have a food truck down at Clearfield County Fair. So,
yeah, very cool.
It's wild.
Keep them busy in a good way.
It's wild. But yeah, one other thing you had asked me to talk about what to expect. We're going to have live music. So we have a couple local favorites. Donnie Burns and the Third Degree will open up, and Ted and the Hi-Fis will close it out. In the middle, we're bringing in an artist from Nashville. His name's Channing Wilson. If you guys want to look him up. He's coming up in the country music scene in a big way. He's made his Grand Ole Opry debut. He's been opening for Riley Green and Steve Earle over the past year and a half. And he's going to be on a show on CBS called The Road. It's going to be hosted by Keith Urban and Blake Shelton.
Okay.
He's one of 12 contestants. So he co-wrote She Got the Best of Me by Luke Combs with a buddy of mine, Rob Snyder, who also played up here last year.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm really excited to have him. He's bringing his full band. I've seen him at festivals with the band. It's like that good traditional rock country mix. And people are paying a lot of money to go see Zach Top at Clearfield on Sunday. For this, you get a good value. You can see some up and coming talent and have complimentary beer all day as part of your ticket.
There you go. I like that. That is a good way to think about it. If you're just tuning in, it's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Chris Bucanani here, filling in for Keith the Goon Conlin. I'm talking with John Schaefer from Anti-Fragile Brewing Company, talking about next Saturday, July 19th, the Happy Valley Brewers Fest in its second year. Big craft brew beer festival with over 75 brewers from Pennsylvania and beyond on the campus of Penn State. Going to be right in direct view of Beaver Stadium, Medlar Field, Mount Nittany. It's like, I like the way Tengwall put it when we were talking about it on the Quarter Century show. He said, everybody needs a preseason. Well, this is going to be your preseason for tailgating. But I've talked for a long time about how much I love summer in Happy Valley and how I wish we had more events that encouraged Penn Staters to come back and experience it, because a lot of them don't. A lot of them, once they graduate and move on, their experience of State College is a football weekend, which is just a completely different vibe, as you know, from what we're enjoying and kind of what I think of as a quiet time around here. And so what I like about this event, I mean, first of all, like you, I'm a big craft beer guy, so it was just a heck of a lot of fun last year just to go try all the different beers. But I got a good mix of some of my friends who are local to the area who came out for it, and then I just had buddies from college who came back because they're like, hey, beer, Penn State, summer, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on the field, but I like how you tied it in. It's kind of a tailgate environment. We're out in the parking lot. Where people tailgate. You would ask earlier about some breweries that are coming.
Yeah.
Some of the statewide favorites and people that we're friends with, there's some new ones coming in, so I'm looking forward to meeting those. But we got Warwick Farm, we got Hidden River, we got Braylock, we got Second Sin out of the Philly area, and I'm missing a ton right now.
Sure.
We got Dancing Gnome, we have Grist House, there's some Penn Staters, we have Stick City and Old Thunder out of Pittsburgh. Who else? Cinderlands, they're Penn Staters too. We got Trogs, we got Evergreen out of Harrisburg area. Again, we have over 70, so I'm throwing out a few names here. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of the new breweries and reconnecting with the ones that were here last year.
Yeah, and a reminder, HappyValleyBrewersFest.com is where you can go get your tickets Saturday, July 19th. So, John, talk me through a little bit about the logistics of pulling something like this together. Now, when you're managing, bringing in all these different many of them very high caliber breweries, and you're adding that requirement we talked about where you're saying, hey, I want you owner, brewer, I want your heavy hitters here. How long and what is involved with the process of putting something like this together?
A lot of work went into it last year of reaching out to breweries, connecting with them. We also pay them pretty well to come up here and realizing that they have to travel.
Sure.
So we want to make it at least a break-even type situation where they're traveling. We have a brewer's reception for them Friday night.
Yeah,
they're going to need
I was
hotel
ask
rooms.
If you kind of got them together on Friday.
Yeah, we're going to have hotel rooms for 2 nights. So we pay them well, and they look forward to it too. But last year, getting on the field was a pretty easy sell for them. A lot of them had a great time last year, so they're excited to come back. But
that's good.
It's reaching out through Instagram. It's reaching out through emails, websites, however you can try to get a hold of people. And that's really my responsibility is, setting the overall agenda for it, the way it's going to flow, the format, getting the breweries. And then Happy Valley Sports and Entertainment and the Adventure Bureau really do the administrative work. So we require paperwork. We require a lot of information from these guys.
I'm sure.
It's required regulatory wise. I don't know how to say that, but there's a lot of record keeping that goes into it. They handle that. They handle a lot of the promotion. So, I feel like I've been doing the rounds on radio, TV, and other people have been doing that. And then we hire Celeste Powell to help us with the ground game. So dealing with the university and all the requirements that they need.
I'm sure that's not a short list.
No. And they have, I'm sure they have the reasons for it, but it's a lot of work to get through all that.
Yeah.
So Celeste is integral. She runs the Central PA Tasting Trail.
Yep.
And does a great job for us. So, I mean, between hiring her and the 3 different organizations that put this on, I don't think it could be done just us. Like, I don't have the bandwidth. And, the Adventure Bureau does a great job of trying to put events together to bring people to town. So they have that expertise. They have that media buying expertise. So I think as a partnership, we really pull it all together.
Very cool. Yeah. How early now? Like we're going to get through Arts Fest weekend, like you said, and
hardly.
And then you're going to roll right into the Brewers Fest next weekend. How quickly will you then pivot to start thinking about 2026?
We'll probably do a week after. We'll have a meeting and go through what worked, what didn't. We had our game plan a week later last year, and then with the renovations, we realized it just wouldn't be possible to do it on the field. So, with that change comes a lot more work. We feel like we'll have this down. We'll know what we're going to do. And then probably, I don't know, we started planning this in November.
Okay.
And there was a lot of what if at that point, whether it would be on the field, whether we'd have to find another location. And then we'll really start hitting it in February.
And one of the things that I've said to people is I know just talking to people here in town, unless you have a reason to, most people don't go up on campus that often. So even if you live 5 minutes away from Beaver Stadium, you may not really know what's been going on up there. This is a good opportunity too for folks to just go take a circuit around the stadium and check out what's been done with it. And especially if you haven't been up here since the SMU game or maybe the end of the regular season last year, things are going to look a lot different. Just don't cross any barriers. Nobody jump over any fences or anything. I'm just telling you to go look where you can look. And it's pretty remarkable the amount of work that has been done since we played that last playoff game not too long ago. So that's going to be a cool thing, I think, for folks to come and check out.
Yeah, and it blows me away I'm on campus all the time because I live on the other side. I go down to the brewery. I work out on campus. It blows me away if I take like a week in between to see how much progress has been made on that renovation. I think it's going to be super cool when it's done.
Yeah. And it's, I know folks have been asking me a lot. This is going to be a 2-stepper. So this fall, we're going to have a version of Beaver Stadium that's only going to exist for one season because they're going to have some temporary stands up on the west side that'll be there and then they'll be gone after 2025. So it's a lot of cool buzz in Happy Valley right now, man, between all the excitement around the football team and, the hockey team just signed the number one recruit in the country. He's like, people are talking about this kid, Gavin McKenna, as the next Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid, and he's going to be wearing blue and white this fall. The women's volleyball team are defending national champions. I think some of our other fall sports, women's soccer in particular, I think is going to have a real good shot to go after winning the whole thing. It's a good time to be a Nittany Lion, and there's no better way, I think, to get geared up for it than to enjoy summer in Happy Valley. Like this is it. When you really start post Arts Fest weekend, I think is when you really start feeling the excitement of the preseason. And so whether you're here locally or you can do as I have done and get your hooks into some of your friends who you maybe tailgate with or you went to college with or just folks who like good beer and good live music, get them up here to Penn State next weekend, Saturday the 19th for the Happy Valley Brewers Fest in its second year. This is a good thing that we want to keep going and we want to keep growing. John, I really appreciate all the work you put in to take a vision like this and make it reality, because I know even though miraculously you got a good positive response from the athletic department early on, there's still a lot of paperwork you got to work through, a lot of planning and logistics. And so to get this thing from the drawing board to implementation is a real accomplishment. And I mean, I appreciate it just as somebody who lives here and loves State College and Penn State. It's been a nice addition to the calendar.
Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully we can grow this thing and turn it into more. I'd love to do a craft beer weekend. I'd love to do maybe a beer competition where we're judging the breweries with competition beer judges. But it's an easy sell to get people on the field. This year, it's a little different. And,
Sure.
We didn't want to lose momentum in what we started last year.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like the team is going to have to, and everybody, you have these times where you've got big construction projects going on. You just work around them.
And it's good. Like, it's great. You mentioned soccer. I mean, that stadium, workout facility or locker room, and then they're going to put a bubble on that. That's cool looking too. So something else to check out. They're tearing down buildings on campus, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, if you have not been on campus for a while, especially up there in the northeast corner where all the athletic facilities are, a lot has changed in a short amount of time. So, John, I appreciate it. Again, I'll remind everybody, let's run through the litany of other plugs here. You're going to have your kombucha stand is going to be down on Allen Street all weekend long for Anti-Fragile. And the tap room is going to be open. The Uncle John's cheesesteaks, which I didn't even really talk about, but are some of the best cheesesteaks in Happy Valley. They're going to be available all weekend also, huh?
Yeah, they'll be in front of our tap room and then in Clearfield County Fair for 10 days or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have the food truck there the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys
and then we'll have the cheesesteaks at the beer festival, too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. So that is the Happy Valley Brewers Fest. Over 75 different craft breweries represented by the guys at the top of the org chart. You're going to talk to owners. You're going to talk to brewers. You're going to hear great stories. And you're going to drink great beer while having great times with your friends, family, right here on the Penn State campus. Drinking beer and Penn State go together like peanut butter and jelly. So get your tickets to the Happy Valley Brewers Fest at happyvalleybrewersfest.com. John, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. And when we come back, I'm going to bring the Ironhead in on this thing, and maybe I can get him to talk a little bit about Gavin McKenna. What do you think, Ironhead? Talk a little Penn State hockey in July? It's a good time to be in any line. Stay tuned, everybody. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show live from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College here on 98.7 The Fox. We'll be right back.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kia Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia. 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Quench your thirst and cheer on the State College Spikes tonight as they go on the hunt for the MLB Draft League first half title. The Spikes face the Frederick Keys at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday with $2 12-ounce drafts from 5:30 to 7:30. Only 3 games remain in the first half, and you could see the Spikes capture the crown here in Happy Valley. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7. The Fox. State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And happily wearing the Happy Valley Brewers Fest hat as we anticipate 9 days from today, the Happy Valley Brewers Fest. Thanks to John Schaefer for coming down. Thank you for conducting the interview while I
my pleasure.
was able to down my food in short order. Honestly, if you've not been to Quaker Steak and Lube and you hear us talking about it, do yourself a favor. Honestly, the variety of food options, they're obviously well known for their wings, and there's a reason for that. The wings are fabulous. The variety of sauce flavors and the amount of meat on the wings and all of that, there is a reason they're known for their wings. And if you love wings, you can't go wrong here. But if you're not a wing person, and I don't understand how you can't be, but I know there are folks that are in that category, honestly, the menu here is worth just coming down and checking out. There is no way that whatever you like, whatever general type of food you like, that you're not going to have something available for everybody in your family or your group of friends or whatever it is. And, we talk about it from time to time, but I am telling you, the service here at Quaker Steak and Lube is through the roof. And it really does have the feel of those old school neighborhood bars, where you walk in and it's like, hey, there's a group of friends. But even if you've never been here, obviously there are a group of friends that come here fairly regularly. And it's like, hey, everybody knows everybody. It is such a welcoming environment when you come in here. And they just do. Jeff Byers does a great job of training the staff. The staff is fantastic. They've done some renovations over the last several months. And again, if you're a sports fan, if you like food, if you like beverages, and you're just looking for an evening out, man, you're just not going to do better than Quaker Steak and Lube. So quick plug, and obviously we are very appreciative of the partnership we've had from them since the inception of this go-around of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And again, the Dear Goon, hopefully will be back Tuesday. Again, there's just family situation, and again, it's not involving directly Goon or his wife. They are both fine, but yeah, if you can give a prayer for them, they could certainly use it, and hopefully things get resolved as well as they can there, and in short order. It's we're thinking of the big guy and the entire family during this time, but hopefully he'll be back with us on Tuesday. You went into the break, Booch, and there's been several things, and we keep talking about the momentum that Penn State football has, that Penn State athletics have, and you kind of keep thinking it's kind of like Penn State wrestling for me covered. It's like, all right, well, man, that's as good as it could possibly get. They just set a record. Well, then the next season comes around and they set a new record. And you're looking at next year's team, and it's like it's certainly on the table that next year's team, if everybody stays healthy and things break right, they could set an NCAA scoring record in 3 consecutive seasons.
Which is wild, but yes.
We'll see whether or not they can actually go out and accomplish that. But the fact that feels like a real possibility even, and just the fact that they did it back-to-back seasons is truly remarkable stuff. So part of me is sitting here and it's like, all right, well, this is amazing. I mean, you've got national title contenders now with the men's lacrosse program, the men's hockey program, the women's soccer program, the women's volleyball program, the football program. And, now I think you're seeing the clear upward trajectory of the women's lacrosse program, the men's soccer program, the women's gymnastics program. Men's gymnastics is also perennially a national title contender, in the baseball and softball programs, and the field hockey program is always really good, and I think has Sophia Gladio was just crazy good, but that's a program that is obviously going to be a perennial contender as well, and those are the sports that get most of the attention. I think the track and field program probably doesn't get as much attention, and you're seeing even with golf just got a huge pickup in the transfer portal from Millersville, a local kid. I mean, so across the board, you're just seeing this tennis program has been upgraded. Track and field, I really think is on the verge of being something really special here in the Big Ten. It's interesting, the scoring at the track and field, and we talked about it on an earlier show, but if you did the points a little differently, Penn State, I think, would have had what was considered a very good showing, even though they ended up with no points at the NCAA championships this past year. You move again 5 or 6 athletes up one spot next year, and you're going to be a top 20 type of program. So all of this good momentum, all of this good feeling about the direction, I think, of the athletic program. And then, yes, you get the splash signing maybe in college athletics. I'm not sure that's overstating it, because Gavin McKenna is clearly the best prospect that will be coming in. But we really are talking about an individual that people are talking about the way they talk. I'm not saying he's going to go out and have that type of career. I'm not saying he won't have that type of career either. But I'm saying at this stage of his career, they are talking about him the way they talked about Sidney Crosby when he was coming up.
Frozen envelope this
I am good with that. Yeah. I would be, as all Penn State / Penguin fans undoubtedly would be. But I don't think you can overstate how significant this signing is for Penn State hockey, and how much it changes the landscape. And listen, I think Penn State, without McKenna, was likely the favorite to win the national title in the upcoming season. They have stockpiled NHL talent up and down the roster. I mean, it has been amazing what Guy Gadowski had built previous, and then between the transfer portal and the recruits, again, before McKenna came in, you're sitting here, it's like, well, this is like an all-star roster, and then you get the guy. I mean, one of those generational guys that everybody is talking about. And from all accounts, I obviously have never met him, and very vaguely aware of him. I wouldn't have been able to give you his name. Truthfully, I if you had told me, hey, this is the guy, I mean, he has that type of reputation where it's like, all right, everybody who has heard anything of hockey, it's like, well, yeah, there's this kid that's coming up and he's scoring goals in every game, and he has that reputation. But this is like a complete game changer, not certainly for the upcoming season. And again, I think it takes expectations which are already sky high and blows them through the roof for this program. But really, Booch, to me now, it clearly makes Penn State under Guy Gadowski the destination spot if you are a young hockey prospect, and especially if this goes well. But I think you saw with how Penn State handled last season and with the goalie and everything that went into it. Guy Gadowski and Penn State has a great reputation with the NHL, with young prospects, and just with folks that know hockey. It's like, well, yeah, that's the way you do it. And they obviously, I mean, it's a world-renowned university, and the arena, thank you, Pegula's, is, probably the premier arena in college hockey. There's nothing better, certainly. There might be a couple that you could argue are comparable or on the same field, but there's nothing better. You combine all of that, and now what I think is going to happen in this upcoming season, and we are just entering a new era of, I think, hockey greatness, but I also think this helps lift the overall profile, as if it needed any lifting, for Penn State athletics.
There's no doubt. I have heard it said, and I've really given this some thought, that just in terms of height, notoriety, kind of brand equity as a prospect coming in at the moment of commitment, that Gavin McKenna is the biggest athlete to commit to play for Penn State in any sport ever. What's your reaction to that?
It's one of those things, you don't want to be a prisoner of the moment and all of that stuff and recency bias, but it is.
Let me ask you this too, just as a follow-up. Say what you're going to say, and then tell me, if it's not McKenna, who do you think it would be?
Yeah, so I do think it is McKenna, and I think again, we are talking about a guy who everybody in the hockey world right? Like not only knows about, but like reveres. Like this is the guy. And the only comparable talent, not at Penn State, but in recent memory, to me, it is Paul Skeens at LSU.
Oh,
and
sure.
it's like,
yeah.
and everybody knew, man, that guy is going to
Yeah.
be a phenom when he gets to Major League Baseball. And you're watching him, and it was obviously great for LSU and for the brand. And now he and Livy Dunn combined, I mean, LSU is a hot commodity in the college sports world. Not that it wasn't always a big name or a brand name, but that power couple combo, I think, has kind of taken that to another level.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been anything comparable, really, for Penn State in terms of, again, they've had some big wrestling signings, right? And David Taylor
was the name I came up
yes.
with, where I was going to say if I had to think about somebody else, because you're going to mention all these great football players that we've had. I keep him. I mean, so like Derek Williams was the number one recruit in the country when he came to Penn State.
Yeah,
I think that's the only time Penn State has ever signed the number one recruit.
And it was a game changer for sure, in terms of the perception.
For sure. But even then, really, unless it's a quarterback, a couple of times, there, like a couple of the Manning brothers, Arch Manning, so the Manning family in general, a few other quarterbacks have carried this kind of hype in. But football, I just don't, I can't think of, I think in part because it's such a team sport and there are so many guys on the field and so many different positions, whereas hockey, it's kind of like basketball where one transcendent talent can make so much of an impact. Taylor was just the only other guy I could think of. And because in wrestling, you don't have the easily quantified, this is going to be the number one pick in the draft. I think it's just easier for people to wrap their brains around, like, oh, okay, this is the guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it maybe is changing a little bit with wrestling, with UFC and those opportunities. But the thing with McKenna is if this goes, and obviously you don't know injuries and everything else that can play into it, but he seems like as surefire a prospect as you could possibly have in the hockey world. And presuming he at least comes close to living up to the hype that surrounds him, the benefit here, wrestling, you get the 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and then the wrestler moves on and can still have a great impact, obviously, if he goes into coaching or now into MMA. But, I mean, McKenna can be like a transcendent figure in the NHL as well.
Yeah.
And if that does happen, again, and that's what's expected right now. I mean, you talk to anybody like, well, yeah, this guy, like, he just has it. And from all accounts, again, I obviously have never met him, don't know him, but man, everything you read about him he is just a first-class individual. Like, just, I mean, obviously loves the hockey, but also treats other people well, is a good teammate. I mean, everything you read, at least, is that, no, this guy is like Sidney Crosby in that regard, and that this is what you want representing your sport. And Penn State has him, and I think the recurring goodwill that is going to be generated for Penn State hockey as a result of, and not just McKenna, by the way. I mean, this team that they have, it is talent-wise comparable to the Fab Five basketball, Michigan basketball team, comparable to the best Alabama football teams that were out there.
They may not be done yet either.
Ohio State's football team last year. Well, and that, so actually, let's get into that, because that is the other thing. Now, if you are on the fence, or if you're, man, I'm not sure where I want to go, but I want to go somewhere, and it's kind of like what has happened over time here with Penn State Wrestling, I'm not saying Penn State and Penn State Wrestling doesn't get every top recruit. I know it feels like it sometimes. Some of the top recruits are going elsewhere. But now Penn State, the opportunity to play with a Gavin McKenna is, if you're a high school kid, well, yeah, I would want that opportunity. Could I, go back in time? Hey, kid, do you want to come play alongside Wayne Gretzky or Sidney Crosby?
Right.
Let me think about that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let me give that. So, and I know some people, it's like, well, all right, this is a 1-year thing. It is going to be, first of all, even if it was, let's just pretend for a moment that, that it's a 1-year thing, and then everybody just goes away and Penn State drops off, which isn't what happens when this type of thing happens. But even if that were the case, with how special this team is and how spectacular I think this season is going to be. I get it. You got to let it play out. I get people, my cohort in the morning gets really, really nervous with high expectations.
I'm sure.
And I understand it. And it when it is national championship or bust, again, anything short of the ultimate goal, which is a really hard thing to accomplish no matter how talented you are, I understand it as far as it goes. I'm just telling you, Guy Godowski knows how to manage egos, knows how to manage a locker room, and that's going to be his biggest challenge, is bringing all of this talent together.
I think that's right.
Much like Ryan Day last year with Ohio State football. We talked about it. It's like they clearly are the most talented team. The only question is, are they actually going to come in and play together? And I think Ryan Day, whether you like him or not, he has created a great culture there, and they bought into the team concept, and we're in this together. I have zero doubt, not even a minuscule, well, I'm not sure, Guy Godowski will bring these guys together. They all are coming here for the same purpose. McKenna said it in the ESPN interview. Yeah, we're going there to win the championship. That's why why this thing is coming together. We want all of these guys here. We want to go win a national championship, and then go on and do great things in the sport. Beyond that, the team, the program is going to continue to build off of next year's success. And I'm already ascribing the success there. It's much like Penn State Wrestling. It's not a given, but it is as close to a given as you can possibly have.
Right.
They are an overwhelming favorite now, because you took a team again that I think was already the favorite, loaded with talent, and now you have supersized it with the greatest talent, maybe over a 10-year span anyway in hockey, coming from Canada. So tickets have not been easy to get at Pagula since its inception.
About to get a lot tougher.
The getting tickets next year, it is going to be wild to see. And the one, and listen, I think Mike Rhodes is on track, and I think Penn State men's basketball is also coming. I really do. I think in a couple of years, this recruiting class that Rhodes brought in is spectacular. I think they are going to be very good. It is. I do feel for him to some degree, because you are at a school, and listen, I think Pat Kraft and I think Mike Rhodes would tell you, we are pushing all of the chips in on basketball too, but you are, it's obviously a football first school, as most schools are, but you are now trying to forge your way just for the entertainment dollar against what I would argue now are maybe the two premier college athletic programs.
Yeah.
I'm talking across the board, not just in their sport. I think Penn State wrestling and now Penn State men's hockey in the 25-26 season, outside of football, I think those are the two most star-studded, football, basketball, outside of those two sports and the followings that those sports have. I think those two teams, those two Penn State winter sports teams, are going to have the biggest followings and create the biggest headlines in the upcoming season. We've talked about it with Penn State wrestling. Obviously, getting tickets to Rec Hall or even the Jordan Center are tough. But when Penn State goes on the road, it is also, they sell out, and they sell out places that don't ever sell out.
Yeah.
And they get great crowds. If they don't sell out, they get, twice what the 2 or 3 times what the normal crowds are for the sport when they go there, because people, even if you don't follow wrestling, hey, you want a chance to see a Mitchell Messenbrink or an Aaron Brooks or a Carter Starace, or now PJ Duke is going to be a big draw in the coming years. All of these guys. So it's going to be much the same thing with Penn State hockey. Like, even if you're not a hockey fan and Penn State is coming, it's like, well, yeah, I want to see this guy that everybody's talking about. And, by the way, these other 4 or 5 guys that I'm going to be watching play in the NHL in very short order here as well.
Yeah,
it is wild.
There are a pair of prospects in the Flyers organization who are considered still possibilities to land at Penn State before the regular season comes around, because this is the one thing, too, I think it gets confusing, certainly for the average fan, to be perfectly upfront. It's confusing to me.
Me
the
too.
way recruiting and personnel and roster management and enrollment all works in college hockey is very odd, because the Flyers had the number 6 pick in the draft this year. And, it's not like the NBA and the NFL where you get drafted and then you're necessarily with the club that took you. In very rare cases is that ever going to happen. It might happen in Gavin McKenna's case, but those are the exceptions that prove the rule. So and now, of course, I'm blanking on his name, but because of some rule changes now, these guys are able to, in conjunction with the club that takes them, look at college as a step on their developmental path, which they never used to be able to do before. So there's this question of, again, there's another kid whose name I can't remember, who's been in the Flyers pipeline and is going to be in camp with them this year and is going to try to make the regular season roster. If he doesn't, another player who may look at college. So there are at least two in-state NHL caliber kids who will both take their shot at trying to play in the NHL this season. But if they don't, there are going to be options available to them, one of which is go do a year in college. And so it would make some sense, being in the Philly organization, for them to take a look at Penn State, especially, as you've said, with everything else that's going on with that team. So again, they may not be done yet. Yeah. And again, I really don't think you can overstate the significance of this McKenna signing. And I know, I don't know if the reports on the amount of NIL are accurate. I suspect they're pretty close, if not accurate. And again, this is the one thing, and Pat Kraft has talked about it. It's like, if we want to be able to compete at the highest level in all of the sports, and we might not have the overall reserves that some of these other schools have. We're going to keep working to try to build that up. But we have enough in the tank that if we can go make a splash signing and somebody that we think is truly, and no question McKenna falls into this category, but is truly a big-time difference maker for the overall program, we're going to go out regardless of the sport and, make a serious pitch and see if we can compete at the highest levels. Again, we might not be able to do it across the board with all of the sports and all of the athletes, but are we going to
be able to go after an athlete here, an athlete there in these different sports, and try to get the program elevated, whatever program it is, to another level. Absolutely. And again, to do it with a hockey program that was already pretty elevated, and again, I think was almost destined, regardless, to have a season for the ages for this program, and maybe even in college hockey. Again, I don't want to keep comparing it to the wrestling team, but I really do think there is that type of opportunity here now for Guy Godowski and the men's hockey program. And by the way, I think we'll see how some things develop. I think women's soccer is on the cusp of being able to put together that type of a run. Women's volleyball is certainly going to be in the mix again this year after winning the national title last year. And again, up and down the programs, I think you're working toward, and in some cases, you're on the doorstep of being, a national championship team, but a program that can contend on a regular basis for national titles. And I think football's there. I know fans, until they actually win it, fans are going to grouse, but they're there. They are going to be perennial contenders. Are you going to have a year here or there where you're not in the playoffs? Maybe, probably. But more often than not, I think now moving forward, Penn State football, as with all of these other programs, is going to be one of the contenders, one of the top 12 teams year in and year out. And if you're a Penn State fan, again, it's a different era. I get that some people, the relationship is changing and you're not happy with the money and the amount of money. I think some of that stuff is going to start to settle down and spread out. And I think you're ultimately, and I know it'll make some people unhappy, but I think you're going to have more what the pro sports have, where, everybody is making some pretty good money in football and basketball anyway, and at least in some of the other sports, decent money. And then you're going to have like a Gavin McKenna. I know he's getting the NIL money. He's also like, if you're a business in this area or in Pennsylvania for that matter, and you're not thinking about talking to that kid about representing your company, then you're out of your mind.
And honestly, or in Canada.
Yes.
I think he is going to be internationally marketable up there because probably being, he's from the Yukon.
Yep. White Horse, Yukon.
I think because of the prominence of that sport up there and what a big celebrity he is, and when you pair that up with the brand visibility of Penn State because of what we've done mostly in football, obviously, but just people know Penn State, I think he's going to be able to, ink some nice NIL deals with probably Canadian companies as well.
And you have to think this is going to also, like, I suspect hockey jerseys across the board are going to be pushed out pretty quickly here by Penn State.
We're number 72, by the way. They just announced.
Is that 72? All right.
Well, the hockey team teased out a 72 jersey with the little, eyeball emojis where the nameplate's gonna supposed to be. So, you can draw your own conclusions. It's my understanding that is the first, he's going to be the first player not only to wear that number, but that's the highest jersey number that's ever been worn by a Penn State hockey player.
Interesting.
They're usually 35 and below. I don't know it well enough to say it authoritatively or not whether that's true, but I can tell you that, with all due respect to Gerald Cadogan, I think Gavin McKenna is going to own 72 here at Penn State.
I think that's going to
maybe
be
right up there with 26 real quickly.
Indeed.
And by the way, speaking of 26 and Saquon Barkley, so again, in this discussion about McKenna is the biggest prospect to sign with Penn State in any sport, people will bring up, what about LeVar Arrington? What about Saquon Barkley? Blah, blah. It's not that we're saying he's the greatest talent to ever sign with Penn State. It's that, if you look at, you think about the infamous how's Saquon Barkley ever going to fit in the crowded Rutgers backfield tweet? Like, he was committed to Rutgers. Like, he was a little bit below the radar as a prospect. Now, LeVar, I think, was a much bigger deal, probably, honestly, as a signing than Saquon was. But if you remember in Saquon's class, a lot of people thought he was the number 2 running back behind Andre Robinson. So it wasn't really until he got to Penn State and showed what he could do. With McKenna, we are talking about right now, this guy is across the sport of pro hockey, circled. Every team's personnel department is like, that's the number 1 guy in this draft coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make comparisons, but I mean, honestly, the hype that he has and the accomplishments, it's not hype without anything to back it up.
Right.
Like the guy is setting records. His
records with medicine hat were pretty impressive. I mean, those are
crazy
stats.
Crazy impressive. So just in terms of the impact that he has already made, if LeBron James had signed with a college team, I mean, it really is that type of signing.
Yes.
I just don't think you can overstate it. And again, I think it's going to have positive reverberations throughout the Penn State athletics, not just for sure hockey. But I think this is one of those where it's like, oh man. Well, I mean, the fact that ESPN,
yes,
I mean, the leader in sports, whatever you think of ESPN, the fact that ESPN is like, man, we gotta make this announcement on our network and have a sit down interview. I mean, there are not many that draw that type of command before they get to the college level.
No question.
that in and of itself tells you just how significant of a signing this is. And again, expectations are going to be through the roof. I think this team will welcome it. I think they
know what they're getting themselves into.
This is just not one of those situations. I mean, every now and then, Penn State football has had a couple of years where expectations were sky high here. And, now this year, I will say, I think they're more sky high across the board. Again, there are a lot of national folks that have Penn State ranked number 1. Football, I think there's a little more parity there at the top. I think Penn State clearly is one of the contending teams. I think it would be beyond stunning unless, taking health out of it, assuming everybody is all the key players are relatively healthy for the majority of the season and in the key games. Hard to imagine how Penn State wouldn't at least get to the Elite 8, if not the Final 4.
If you had to take a guess right now on July 10th, where do you think Penn State will debut in the preseason AP poll?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. Actually, a buddy of mine the other night. I think they're going to open 3.
I think so too.
And I
won't. Texas and Ohio State in some order will be 1 and 2.
I think it'll be Texas 1.
Yeah,
I think it'll be Ohio State 2.
Yep. If you know that you've got your defending national champion who's bringing back a bunch of talent, they're going to be good.
Yep.
Everybody thinks really highly of Texas, and those two teams are going to play each other the first week of the season.
Yep.
Why would you not just rank them 1 and 2 and let that sort itself out?
Right. Yeah, and I think Georgia and Clemson are the other teams that are getting title pub here before the season. I don't.
Oregon too. I think you just gave the tops. If you throw Oregon
I think Oregon is kind of
6.
clearly consensus. I mean, there are people I've seen have them higher. I think Oregon is kind of a consensus 6, though. They're out of those
Agreed.
6, but they definitely are the. If you list those as the top 5, and all right, who's the next biggest threat? The two. There's actually 3 teams that. Nationally, I think are going to be fascinating stories for different reasons and will get a lot of attention. And Penn State is one of them because people want to, is Penn State going to fulfill the promise here? How will Drew Aller respond? Penn State's just it's a story no matter what with Penn State. But I think with all of the expectations and everything surrounding it, Penn State is a program everybody's following. I think Alabama, we're talking about the top 6, and Alabama is not mentioned, and I think this is a really critical and pivotal season for the Crimson Tide, and kind of, all right, are they going to truly feel like they've dropped back into the mix here with the and others in the SEC, or are they going to reassert and, all right, they're right there at least nipping at the heels of Georgia, if not surpassing them. I think it's a pretty crucial season for them. And then USC, just because of the name brand, the way they finished up last year, and again, it's another one of those where if they don't, then the speculation on, all right, who is the next head coach, I think becomes fascinating. And then in the Big Ten, we talked about Nebraska a little bit earlier. I do think that they are going to be a fascinating watch to see what Matt Rule is able to do. That schedule does play out very favorably for them. And I think if you're Penn State, you're hoping Nebraska is able to put up a bunch of W's before that game, because it is going to add to the, making that a resume, for sure, for the Nittany Lions. So,
and Iowa's got themselves a quarterback now, and their defense is going to be stout as always. I think
and that's always a tough place. I mean, that is. It's just Kinnick it's a really good environment.
We don't play them this year, but Illinois is going to have a really good team back for Brett Bielema. I think you started to see it reemerging last year, and honestly, I do think a lot of this is NIL plus the transfer portal changing the landscape of the sport. But the Big Ten is getting back what it hasn't had in years, which is a respectable middle that makes it a little bit harder to dismiss your conference schedule outside of, whatever combination of Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Yeah, and listen, I think fairly the SEC previously has been able to say, I think the Big Ten and the SEC were comparable at the top. I think the SEC accurately could say, well, listen, our middle teams, though, and I think both teams had, not good programs at the bottom. Both from a coaching standpoint and just a program standpoint, I do think going into this season, I think the Big Ten is at least the equal, if not a little better, top to bottom than the SEC. They certainly have as many, if not more, top-end teams, as we just talked about it. 3 of the top 6 there going into the season. You're expecting.
Lest you forget, folks. Michigan beat Alabama in a bowl game. Illinois beat South Carolina. I mean, there were some marquee bowl matchups that put great Big Ten and SEC teams up against each other, and the Big Ten fared very well.
Michigan's going to be a pretty fascinating watch this season as well. I probably should have included them in that group of fascinating stories to follow.
No doubt.
In college football in the upcoming season. That's going to wrap things up. Thank you, dear Booch, for filling in for the Goon today. Again, hopefully he'll be back Tuesday. We'll let you know. And, folks, we hope you have a great Arts Festival weekends. We'll be back on Tuesday with our next edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show here from Quaker Steak and Lube. Until then, be good and be safe.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Quench your thirst and cheer on the State College Spikes tonight as they go on the hunt for the MLB Draft League first half title. The Spikes face the Frederick Keys at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday, with $2 12-ounce drafts from 5:30 to 7:30. Only 3 games remain in the first half, and you could see the Spikes capture the crown here in Happy Valley. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The good